right, hey everyone. I'm going to be reading from my debut chapbook, They Shot Anyway. The first piece that I'm going to read is called Khadija. Khadija, named for the Prophet's wife, served as an example for the community. Her black body always swimming in baggy clothes. Long, loose abayas draped her body, thick navy blue hijab crowned her head. The community lit up with praise. How modest, the men hummed while grazing her figure. Such piety, saying with admiration. When Khadija's black abaya clung to her swollen belly, the song stopped. This is surely a grave sin, the men howled. To fall pregnant with no husband, hissed the women. To fall, they said, as if she were Lucifer himself and not a woman with desires. I told Khadija she had options, that vague, knowing way that women suggest abortion to each other. Khadija smiled gently and said, Muslim girls stay pregnant. This next piece is called The Boy Who Loved Rainbows. He collects girls like rainbows. I am the black one, the one that isn't too black. Sheltered immigrants' parents are surprised that I'm not a prostitute, that my father is not in jail. I chuckle politely, even though I'm suffocating under what they define as blackness. The boy holds my hand and tells me my Eurocentric makeup looks beautiful on my almost Negro face, that I look like Beyonce with my hair straight. He holds up his new color to his friends who call me daring and brave for sitting at the table with them, all who would have voted for Obama a third time, all still totally traumatized by this 2016 election. They tell me they worry about me in this landscape, in Trump's America, as if breath leaves a black girl's body differently depending on who's president. His friends are funny like that. This next piece is called From Self-Sacrifice. Her vomit sounds musical. Blood paints her thighs and the aluminum bathroom floor. Even now, she's still the pretty sister. Sweat cakes her perm gelled edges to her forehead. Comically, she looks like Elvis. I tell her it's time to get cleaned up. She fights me like a stubborn child, but her exhaustion betrays her. She sighs in defeat as she steps into the tub. Her eyes fill with resentment. Why the fuck are you always cleaning up after me? I don't respond. I scrub her blood until it turns brown. The Clorox burns my nose. You like this, don't you? She whispers. No, I say firmly. But I do. I do. Loved you a little. Always seeking you out from your hiding places. Coveting the laughter in your lungs, breathing it in and smiling. I like that you made me smile, really smile. Not my cool chick indie film side smile, my real gummy smile, crooked caffeine teeth and all. We'd huddle together and talk of all the world and creation. We'd share looks of sophisticated, mature disgust when our co-workers would add cream to a medium roast. We sighed together as we lament the genius of Nina, Billy, Hughes, imagining that we too were Black geniuses, misunderstood, but soon to be treasured. And by soon we met after we died and were poor and unappreciated our whole lives. Wouldn't that make all our scars worth it if one day in some woke coffee shop in a gentrified neighborhood, they spoke our names and called us genius? All right, this last piece is called Slave Ship. Ever notice how they don't want niggas anywhere? I remember learning that I was stolen goods, thought I belonged 8,576 miles away. I swam there over bodies that drowned in vomit and suffocated in the folds of their mother. Told them I was home, this was my place. Told me, nigger, please, you're Black, not African. Told me to go back to my own country. Told me they'd grown tired of colonizers with skin pale like mine. I swam back, met blue that turned black bodies red, told them I was home, told them I wanted my rights fed. Told me, nigga, please, don't you know your body's dark as a light, lit up trees, told me niggas don't leave. I unlocked handcuffs and ran barefoot to school, told them this nigga did me, told me to empty my pockets, told me to bend over, told them the bars were hot, told them I had questions, told me to speak when spoken to. In silence, I ran back to the oldest place I could remember, and it was black, and it was wounded, and it did not belong anywhere. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sean. I want to say first, good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you. I want to thank Sean and Larry for giving me this opportunity to share my words with an audience. For my presentation, I'm going to talk about this Black man's Black experience, one man's perspective. I'm going to go into a love poem, and then I'm going to share an observation of the struggle of others. So now, for my first piece, this is the visual part. Yes. Share. Hopefully everybody can see that. This first piece was inspired by a Moonstone project where we had cartoonists interpret the title of some iconic books and novels. And then those cartoonists shared their work, and then poets interpreted their work. This is done by an amazing cartoonist by the name of Mr. Fish. And this piece is based upon Dr. Maya Angelou's iconic autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Now, my poem is entitled the same, not because I think it's so good, but because I know not to mess with Dr. Angelou's perfection. So, having said that, here it is, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Racism. Racism is a big little word. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's loud. But whether big or little, quiet or loud, it is always ugly. Racism is like a cage to the human spirit, trying to bind and constrict, limit then deny the brilliance, the creativity, and sheer power of the human experience. There is no poetry in racism because there is no beauty in racism. It offers no hope, provides no justice, inspires no peace. Peace, as in a reflection of godliness, a beauty that celebrates the unconquerable character of those who push past the boundaries racism would seek to impose. The beauty inspired by individuals with the ability to study a problem from different angles, persistent enough to look at, in, around, over, and through any obstacle set forth by hate created by small-minded, and however improbable, have the courage to spring forth and rise like a song, spreading its wings, taking flight, clothed in God's grace, soaring ever forward to achieve the unscalable heights of life's true victory. So that's that piece. Now, in the same vein of poetry being inspired by visual cues, I'm going to share an image that was done by an incredible photographer, my brother by a different mother. This is Chris Barkley's work. Okay, it was Chris Barkley's work. We're gonna try it again. And this is what happens. All right, I'm gonna unshare and then reshare. All right. Okay, man, I really want to be able to do this. But it won't do it. All right, I'm gonna share this anyway. The name of this piece is Sneakers. And if you will, I want you to imagine a pair of sneakers in the street, just sneakers thrown away. I was born to be an achiever, and I was meant for so much more. At first, I wanted to be a fireman so that I could drive a big red fire engine and blast a siren as I raced through the streets saving people. Then, I wanted to be a policeman so that I could help keep people safe and make my mama proud. I love school. My teachers all said I had great potential, that I was going places. I was going to be president, like Barack Obama, but I didn't know. Nobody told me that I wasn't supposed to use my imagination to play cops and robbers in the park. No one said it was illegal for a Black kid to buy Skittles and iced tea while wearing a hoodie at the neighborhood store. People always told me the sky's the limit. They encouraged me to shoot for the stars. But no one ever told me that sometimes when you're Black, the stars shoot back. So let's do this. Stop sharing. All right, so now you just get me. This next piece was inspired by an image of Trayvon Martin's mom. We all know that Trayvon was killed by George Zimmerman. And the image was taken by Chris at a Black Lives Matter event. And the name of this piece is Give Me the Words. Give me the words, Lord. I know they're watching and they want to hear me speak. Help me to end this cycle of grief. I can see how the pain intensifies with each revolution. And with that pain comes a blinding rage draped in a rabid thirst for action. Can you hear their cries for justice? Give me the words, Lord. Help me to end this growing sisterhood of sorrow. I never wanted this. No mother ever does. I just want to heal this hole in my heart. But this spotlight burns brightly, and they do so want to hear me speak. Give me the words, Lord, please. Give me the words. Help me to change their focus in a way that will save some other woman's child. So, the reason why I love the arts, it's therapeutic and it offers a constructive outlet. So, I wrote this on one of my less than happy days. This is when you look at the news too long, and so this is what it came out. The title of this piece is, If You Were Black. If you were Black, how would that be? To look through my eyes, see what I see. Would my bitter truth in your mouth be unkind? Would the lying eyes of your justice be quite as blind? Would the blood that was spilled be a little more red? Would the brothers who were killed be a little more dead? Would you buy into the promise of this land of milk and honey? Well, the joke's on you, but ain't a damn thing funny. If you were Black, how would that be? To look through my eyes, see what I see. Would you see all those mothers with tears in their eyes, their prayers for better tomorrows, or futile exercise? What would you tell your son if he encountered a cop? Immediately put your hands up. Don't walk, don't run, just pray if you're stopped. How much of you would you keep in a cage, that part of you that is anger, hate, and rage? If you were Black, how would that be? To look through my eyes, see what I see. In the tales that the media spin, who will be the villain? The ones without the guns or the cops doing the killing? And what of your daughters whom you so adore in a world that mistreats them, calls them hoes, bitches, and whores? Hypocrisy, miseducation, poverty, these challenges I endure. But time is quickly passing because now I'm the cure. I will organize, strategize, and dare to be bold. I'm done with your obstructing. Pray God helps your soul. Now, if you were Black, tell me, how would that be? To look through my eyes and see what I see. So yeah, that was that piece. So now here's the thing. When you go to an Ivy League university and you work in corporate America, you get a unique perspective of stuff. Outside, how we're treated outside of our community and how we're treated inside the community. Where do you fit? So this speaks to that experience, and it's called mask. The mask I wear has an inverted frown. It envelops my body in a much paler brown. It masks ethnic melodies I'd sing to rejoice, to project nasal utterings in a much wider voice. The mask I wear is simply a tool. It's a small little skill I worked on at school. Some say what's at issue is my being fake. I say it's a function of choices I make, honing my skills, collecting new tools to play at their game, win by their rules. The mask that I wear 9 to 5. Brothers in Harlem don't go for that job. By day, it's a shield, this inverted frown. By night, it's the burden I carry around. The mask that you see is really not me. It's my corporate commercial for mainstream to see. Chitlins and the hog maws, on these I was raised. Medgar and Malcolm, the heroes I praise. The mask that I wear is a much paler brown, but under its surface, this brother's still down. That's that piece. So now we're coming up on my last African-American deal. And this is what I call a string haiku. It's a series of haikus strung together to make one bigger piece. And the title of this piece is Haikus for Those Who Are Black Like Me. And you know the form of haiku, 3 lines, 15 syllables. Here we go. Answer this question. How black can a black man be in America? Black is powerful. You don't believe? Tell me this. Why are they so scared? I am a poem, unwritten and rewritten by America. How much does hope cost? How does one get liberty? Where can I apply? A nation that would enslave, beat, rape, and lynch you will never love you. I'm American. Tell me, what does that get me? How about if I'm black? Monsters do exist. Know their names: hate, bigotry. We see them daily. I'll show you my wounds if you then bear the burden of sharing my pain. This one thing is true. Hard to love America when she don't love you. So those are the haikus. Now we're going to shift from the African-American experience to love. The title of this piece is Unconditional. I love you. I love you beyond conscious thought or primal instinct. Through all human shortcomings, flaws, and imperfections. Despite all missteps, mistakes, misdeeds, and misguided interactions, I love you beyond every hurt and injury ever inflicted upon my heart, my spirit, and my soul. I love you from my darkest nightmares to my brightest dreams, from your past hurts, previous injustices, and utter betrayals. I love you through all anger, all rage, all pain, and all the damage done by other brothers unworthy of the blessing that is you. I love you from simply having sex to making love. I love you beyond my life, beyond every inch of every moment, beyond all space and time. I love you from the start of forever to the end of eternity with every hope, dream, and aspiration I could ever muster. I love you beyond sight and sound. I love you from top to bottom, inside and out. I love you in the corners of every whisper and on the wings of every shout. I love you in his presence, in peace, in grace, and in mercy. All that you need to know is all that I am, all that I have, will have, or could ever pray for is totally and unconditionally invested in loving you. I got one more. Last one. Here we go. This was inspired by The Art of Mr. Fish. The image is there's a woman, you see her back, she's looking at 4 doors. The door over here, men's room. Door over here is the family bathroom. Third door is that door, that poster you probably had in high school or college with all the, love things going on. And then that other one is the ladies' room. So here we go. Every morning, this is always the hardest part. How can I select a room of my own when I'm stuck in these 4 walls called me? Here I am, trapped in a war of closeted pronouns, living a lie. I live life as an actor, playing a part, a role to satisfy my audience, that audience being society. Every day, I wake up, put on my costume, don my smile, and command the stage. I own the role. I make it part of me, almost all of me. But I think I'm too good. Because every day when I return from my performance, when I return from living that fake life, that lie, I look in the mirror and I fear I've lost another small part of me. And once I lose it, I can't get it back. I can't ever get it back because it dies. And if I'm not careful, there'll be nothing left. Tomorrow, when I wake, please, God, give me the strength to finally choose a room, the skin, and the life I can truly call my own. That's my time. I want to thank Sean and Larry for giving me this opportunity. And I want to thank all of you for your kind attention and support. So thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm most recently co-editor of this anthology, Show Us Your Papers, which was published by Main Street Rag Press. And you can check that out too in the link. There's like 80 poets in here. It's amazing. I'm really so happy to be here. Thank you, Larry and Sean, for this opportunity. I am going to read a sampling of things. I'll start with some poems about the pandemic and then move into some Black history poems. I also want to thank Leena and Hermond. The work is just, Leena and Hermond, just wonderful to be here with you two tonight. Okay, the first poem is called Bandit. We wore bandana masks at first, like Western bandits, folded over quick, tied behind our heads. The Prince logic became neo-sacred geometry. It was saving us, our bodies at least, if not our souls. Death lurked beyond our front door, on the other side of the car door, in the grocery aisle, at the pharmacy. Many citizens chose to stick with, many citizens chose risk with no reward in sight. They wanted out, no matter what. How bad could it be? A bad cough, maybe? In the Western, the bandit sidles up to the counter, shifty eyes peeking out over the bandana's edge, points the gun at the clerk, commands, your money or your life. Our heroine chooses life, forks over cash in fistfuls, empties the till in hopes of saving the world. Today, faced with the same question, our leaders hoard the cash, offer up the citizens as targets. Blood Rise. This is a poem in response to thinking about another epidemic, Ebola, Blood Rise. A woman's work, the calculus of fever breaking, coaxing the sick to eat, laying cool cloths on the brow, trickling water between parched lips, the shooing away of flies, praying for a cure, hoping this fever will break before their bodies do. Someone mentioned something about a killer in the blood, or was it the air, a fever? It moves faster than disease you can get from sex, or the fever you can get from mosquitoes, or the sickness you can get from drinking bad water. No, it was a nightmare of a fever, makes the blood rise. Cause don't matter. So many are dying from fever. It lays in wait like a vulture, circling, circling. In the beginning, there was a baby with a fever his mother could not break. How could she watch his sweet brown eyes bleed? How did she not scream when the sheets turned red? How could she not kiss his hot forehead goodbye? Outsiders. The prison's reputation troubled us. Possible stabbings, gang wars, riots raised alarm. We wondered if he could survive in a bona fide prison, not a jail or a correctional facility for youth. Didn't violent lifers lurk around every corner? Even the new title, East Jersey State, didn't change our hunches about Rahway. To our surprise, he seemed to like it. He said there were fewer knuckleheads and lifers treated it like home. The first time we visited, we had yet to meet mean guards. We had not been held behind rusted gates. We were blinded by gleaming barbed wires. Holding. At 3, Ramon wears more gold than the old Italian ladies in my neighborhood. It glints against the edge of his baby guinea tea. My father smirks at that bright penny of a boy and scoops him up just as he heads out the visiting hall doors. The young mothers nod, look to their own, careening off these beige cinder block walls. The guards gave up this endgame long ago, blocking these fatherless toddlers scrambling toward any man. Shadow of the Hawk. Sweeps over the courtyard, the barn, slides up the small city of silos. At first, I think it's casting shadows ahead of itself by some weird bird magic, and then I see its partner circling from the opposite direction, patrolling for prey, for the already dead, lying on the garden's edge by a forest, hidden in the too dry, tall grasses. Before we wake, this hilltop world is alive. Critters and creatures roam this patch of red earth. The other night, Deidre told us she saw something scurry in the half-light that was not a bunny. Maybe a fox, a raccoon, who knows? City folks come to the mountains to create, but don't want a thing to do with bugs, snakes, or small animals. I laugh myself, thinking about the field mouse I found swimming in the dog's bowl last fall, how I slammed a cookie sheet on top and ran the whole thing out to the field behind the fence. I was a bit sad until I thought, that fucker might try to get into my house. And I am less afraid of spirit than critters, and that's for damn sure. Revelation. Our spine is so primal, it's otherworldly. Nerves root, weave through vertebrae, facet joints link, twist, and shift as they rise in response to tendons. Discs float and lock, absorb tiny shocks, the nuts and bolts of ambulation. There's something elegant about it, something transcendent in our mammalian curvatures, yet vulnerable. One slip of a disc, entrapped nerve, or locked facet joint can bring us down, walking as if we are stage 3 in the 5 stages of man. Oh, one could get dramatic, exclaim, who thought this evolution to bipedal mode progress? But then we realize how many times we wonder if someone has the spine strong enough to stand against those who wish to tear them down, or how many times we will say that those who disappoint us have the spine of a jellyfish. How many times does the sight of our interior snake make us alien to ourselves? Terrifyingly human possibility, upstanding and upright. I move into the Black history poems. I wrote a lot of poems about my parents' hometown, my father's hometown, Steelton, and both sides of my family come from that town. It's right outside of Harrisburg. Steel Girl. At the bottom of the hill, the mill moans. It is perhaps the most haunting sound, ore turned into steel. I shiver, hug my knees closer. Oh, I know the sound of my soul escaping. It hangs over slumping rooftops, an invitation to a better life. Grandma finds me sitting on the front porch, leaning against the chipping white banister, looking at the sky. She tells me to get my ass in the house. The baby won't stop screaming. Great Migration 1. We went north searching for a better life, followed family from one Columbia to another. Seemed like everyone had to get out, tired of farming, working so hard for so little money. Aaron heard about work at the steel mill, different kind of labor, moving slag, ain't farming rice, dangerous, too goddamn hot, devil's job. Wish I knew then what I know now. Negro can't make $1 in this country without sweating hard. Hell, don't matter where you live. Still, we were hopeful when we left D.C., but life in Steelton forged my soul. Steelton Speaks, 1948. My grandfather was a poet, so this is about that. Steelton Speaks, 1948. Any fool knows a Negro can't keep his family alive without having bloody knuckles from shoveling coal or scarred arms from stoking the blast furnace. So what makes Will think he can feed all them children writing poetry? Turning phrases ain't nothing like turning steel. He spends all night up there in that attic, reading those books, smoking that pipe, drinking that whiskey, looking out a little window, dirtying his fingers with nothing but ink, and all he has to show for it is another sonnet the white man won't read. I'm one more Steele poem and then I'll move on. Leaving Bethlehem Steel, 1947. Weary, he takes the hill in big steps, his work boots grip worn brick. This walk is best in spring when nights are cold, ice is distant, and the hills are quiet. Then he can recall the poems he memorized by candlelight in the upper room. As of late, he's been taken by frost-measured ruminations. At the top of the hill, he thinks of the road not taken, yearns for another path. His pace quickens, but he's not in a hurry to get home. There he cannot escape his hunger. It rises from his spine, the spine of every masterwork he reads. Remembering gorgeous turns, he sits on his father's porch, takes off his boots, wonders if he'll ever work with words in the daytime, if he'll ever read his work to anyone but his moonlit reflection, if he will ever live a life worth writing. And one in the voice of my grandmother, his wife. Revision, 1943. When I said our boy could be his best work, I assumed Will would spend hours humming to him, reading poetry, or singing like he does when he's writing. But it seems that he didn't hear me. My boy needs more than daydreams, rhyme schemes, and tight lines to thrive. Billy needs his daddy's rich lullaby, needs to know he is safe in those rough hands. Sure, Will knows how to turn dreams into art, but his own flesh? Use the writer's impulse towards revision and winnow my child down as if he were an errant line, as if wordplay and child's play were the same. I'm going to move to a few, I'm going to do this. I wrote what you call a golden shovel. And so I'm going to do one. This was in the Golden Shovel anthology. The lines are from Gwendolyn Brooks' second sermon on the war plan, conductor blooming in the noise and the whip of the whirlwind. So this is Reflections on Invictus 1, Master. Oppression, racism's root, must conduct itself like a disease, right? Your lesions are rising, sometimes blooming where they cannot be seen. In pink places, interstitial spaces, the flesh opens, releasing the body's noise. What more can be said about a suffering so pure and yet so deeply and humanely black that the whip of understanding snags our backs? Of course, there is something familiar in the desire to control what you cannot see. Pain's whirlwind. I I've lost track of time. Where am I? Am I good? Do I have?
You're fine, Cherise.
Can I do a few more? Short ones?
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's one of my aunts. My Aunt Beth is a painter, and here's a poem about response to her painting called Exegesis. Girl, don't you see the woman in this work? Her thin but strong waist, her brown blank face, a sunflower at midnight. I know it's hard to say who is the cross and who is the martyr, but look at her slight outstretched arms, biceps so strong they could right any man's world as quick as they can raise it. This curve must be her hip, and those must be her legs, twisting down to a point. See how the man's head rests on her worn shoulders, his chin tight against her cheek. His arms give him away, heavy yet limp. Who is the martyr, the man on the cross, or the woman whose body becomes it? And I've been thinking about medicine lately and just about how the world is, we're all hanging on the words of doctors and the words of understanding. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Transformers. 1, accessible treatment. On my way out to the store, I asked Garrett if he needs anything. Some bananas, whatever they're doing for dinner, apple juice, graham crackers for the kiddo. Oh, and could you pick up a cure for lupus while you're out? I snicker in affirmation. If only it were that easy. Order up a cure at the pharmacy, or, more likely, find them tucked behind the pesticides at the home improvement store. Who doesn't want to live in a world where complete healing is possible, where cure is not a 4-letter word? And 2 more. 2, the red wheelbarrow question. How's your health? The answer depends on so much on who's asking. Acquaintances. All right, and you? Colleagues. Beginning of the week. I'm good. How was your weekend? Friends. You know how it is. I'm beat. Colleagues. Midweek. Okay, and you? Family. I'm really tired. We're getting takeout tonight. Can you get the mail? Colleagues. End of the week. See you Monday. Don't mention your disease, its flares, its quiet, its aches, or your triumphs. They don't share shit like that with you, so why should you do more than tongue a sore or speak more than niceties? I'm gonna finish with 1 or 2 poems from Sugar Babe, The Crown of Sweet Tales. So the Sweet Tale is it's a 10-line poem. It was invented by Allison Joseph. The 1st, 5th, and the 10th lines repeat. So what I'm going to do is I'll read the first one and a middle one. I wrote these after I discovered Ancestry and found out that I had a great-great-grandmother named Betty Tucker. And this is her story. The poem's called Sugar Babe. 1, Betty Tucker birthed 18 babies, but only 6 lived. At least that's what she told the census taker when he stopped by the house in 1900 to count everyone who stayed there. He must have thought, one of these gals has to have a child. Betty Tucker birthed 18 babies, but only 6 lived. Sure enough, Harriet, barely grown a woman herself, was there with her baby girls, Maud 3 and Berthina 1. On the day the white man stopped by, what did she want to say? Did she want to say something significant about her life? More than yes, I gave birth to 18 babies, but only 6 lived. I'm gonna do the one that's in the middle, the 5th one. Cut a path to joy through grief and pain with a machete. That's the only way to survive a countrywoman's life. So many ways to lose a baby, a child, even grown folks, accidents, disease, and fevers. Death come creeping, so cut a path to joy through grief and pain with a machete. White folks may say, seize the day, same thing in a way, but I don't have the strength to reach. But I don't have the strength or the reach to grab for something that I just can't touch. Save Jesus, I pray to him. But when I walk, I feel the undergrowth holding me like my fear of death. So I cut a path to joy through grief with a machete. Thank you.